Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. We'll start with introductions, and I am going to just go down my list as I see you. So, Beth, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Beth Gaitan. I'm the Southwest South Central Regional Literacy Consultant, and then I also work with our jail and prison literacy programs.
Okay. And Carlene.
Hi, my name is Carlene Junkard, and I am the CCR1 instructor at Literacy Green Bay, and I also just started as the CCR1 and CFL coordinator.
All right. Now, let me see. There we go. Julie.
Hi, everybody. Julie from Menominee Tribal Education, and I am also the adult education coordinator for the community as well. I work with GED prep students. I also help to coordinate other adult education efforts, and I station myself throughout the community at the Community Resource Center, and then there's a spot up in Neopet, another one of our smaller communities on the reservation. And I also am working hard to cultivate my relationship with the folks over at the jail. They're always seem to be pretty short-staffed, so it's kind of hard for me to be consistent there, but just gonna keep trying.
Great, great. Well, good. Jamie.
Everyone, I'm Jamie Cobes. I'm a tutor training and digital literacy project manager at Wisconsin Literacy.
Hey, and Amy. Amy Schmelzer, in case there's another Amy.
Oh, sorry. Amy
That's okay.
from the Adult Literacy Center. We are located in Grafton, Wisconsin. I'm the executive and program director.
The jack of all trades. Amy does it all. Okay. And Marie Nibby.
Hi, I'm Marie Nibby with Literacy Network in Madison, and I oversee our GED HSED tutoring program and our basic skills tutoring program as well.
Great. And Elizabeth Sauer.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sauer. I'm the instructor at the Oneida Nation Community Education Center. So I do GED, HSED, and some of the other educational stuff that we have going on.
Okay, wonderful. And Pamela.
Hi, I'm Pamela Waters from the Jefferson County Literacy Council. We do a GED, HSED in the community and at the Jefferson County Jail.
Great. And finally, Stacy Martin.
Undo, unclick all my buttons here.
Oh, the feeling.
It's one of those days. So my name is Stacy Martin, and I am the Dunn County and Chippewa County coordinator for Literacy Chippewa Valley. And like most of you, I wear a million hats. So I do GED, HSED at the Dunn County Jail. I assist with the Chippewa Jail, and I do HSED and GED in the community. And then I do a bunch of other stuff too. Grants,
cool.
Data, literacy, all kinds of stuff. So that's me.
We understand that. I think everybody on this call wears a million hats. So welcome, everybody. So glad that you're here. This is, I think, our third, maybe our fourth GED networking call, and we are recording it in part because we had a member who couldn't be here today, but really wanted to know what we were talking about, ask. But I'm also recording it because one of the things that we said we wanted to do on this call was talk about the materials or a material that each of us use or have used in our GED, HSED programs that we especially like. And so I'll give you a second if you need to run, get something, or if you want to pull something up on your computer. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But I did want to bring up the new information about TABE. Now, not all of you work with the technical college system, but I know many of you do. Some of you are AEFL recipients, few of you, many of us used to be. But others of you work directly with or maybe have an instructor from the tech college system, and others of you funnel your students who complete their GEDs to a technical college. And so they have been on top of the new tape that's coming out. And this will be the second round of new tapes that I have lived through. It's really almost the third, because believe it or not, 9 and 10 was brand new when I came. So that's how long ago that was. And so they have sent me a list, and I know many of you got it if you're on their mailing. But they talked about when the current tape that most of us are using will kind of sunset, and when we need to start using the new tape. Now, you're all Wisconsin literacy members. You all have a regional consultant. And when the time comes, because none of it's available quite yet, we will certainly work with each of you to help you get the new tape. We're also going to talk briefly today about CASAS, and I'm wondering if there's anybody on the call that uses CASAS, either in place of tape or along with tape. Anybody? Beth, I know you have mentioned you have some members that use CASAS. Do you want to talk just a second about it?
Yeah, so I have a couple of members, one member who uses CASAS exclusively, and then a couple that use CASAS and TABE for different purposes. What I have heard from my member agencies is that they like CASAS. It seems to be a little bit more appropriate or easier to navigate for lower level English learners, English language learners. It's more geared toward workplace, and so they have really liked the examples and the scenarios. Another thing is they do test in Spanish. So for example, I have a couple programs who do GED in Spanish. And so they do want to find a basic literacy level in Spanish for those learners. So they'll use the CASAS assessment. One of my programs does a really initial informal assessment with learners, and for very low level learners, they do the CASAS English assessment. And then for higher level learners who say that their goal is to transition to the tech college, they do the TABE Class E. So yeah, the way CASAS works is it's everybody who wants to administer it does need to go through an online training. I think it's very helpful. And then your RLC, if you can check with your RLC if they're able to support that cost. The RLC can order the admins online and have them deposited into your agency account. CASAS staff just have to verify that whoever receives the admins has indeed gone through the CASAS Proctor training, the online training. One thing to note is that you have to buy a minimum of 100 admins, but they don't expire. So it's kind of a larger number for some smaller agencies, but they don't expire. That's pretty much the background I understand or what I know about CASAS.
Okay, good. Well, and back when 9 and 10 were being introduced, the tech system was considering adding CASAS as another option to TABE. And that's when I was exposed to it. And that's when I really, really kind of fell in love with it. But they decided not to do it at that time. Since then, the tech system does accept CASAS as a standard in place of TABE. So just that gives you a little background on what it is. But what I've got here on the screen for you is when things will expire. And you can see that TABE Class E and TABE 11-12 are going to expire as of June, well, TABE Class C, June 30th of 24, and 11 and 12, June of 25. They're both kind of waiting for final federal approval. But I think if we see them coming sooner than that, we'll certainly try to make it available to you. I have one program that uses Best Plus. I don't know if any of you use it or have used it. They're very happy with it. And they too have a deadline of June 30th of this year, when it will expire. And then you can see the CASAS ones, but that won't affect any of you because you're not using CASAS yet. So,
Marcia, sorry to interrupt. I'm looking online and maybe we don't have it, but we did a webinar.
Did.
And using CASAS, and I'm just trying to see if we perhaps have that on our website. I'm just wondering, maybe we didn't.
It was a while ago if we did, and I
We
do
did it.
remember, yeah. If you get a
Doesn't
second,
look like it.
Beth, keep
Yeah.
scrolling around looking for it and we'll let people know.
Okay.
We've had a couple people join us. Juan, I see Juan from Journey House is here. Juan, do you just want to unmute for a second and say hi if you can? He may have stepped away. And then Shannon Mason Young, our Northwest Regional Consultant, is here. Shannon, we're glad you're here too. So, yeah, so that's kind of what I know about that. Does anybody have questions? Okay. All right. I will make sure that you all have a copy of this as well. So, just wanted to bring it to your attention that the change is inevitable, and we'll work with you in terms of what you're going to do. I also will sort of promise that we will offer maybe a Thursday morning coffee or a networking session on CASAS sometime in the next 5 or 6 months. Oh, there's Juan. Juan, would you like to do a quick introduction, please?
Hi, good afternoon. Juan Lopez from Journey House. I am Director of Adult Education, but also teach the GED in Spanish. And
Great.
it's nice to meet you all, and thank you, Masha.
Great. Well, we're glad you're here. Okay, so unless there are any questions on TABE or CASAS or BEST, we will go ahead and move along to my favorite GED materials. And that was kind of going to be what our focus was for this meeting. Now, you don't have to physically have them in front of you. You can certainly just talk about them. And because I can't see everybody, well, maybe I can't see everybody all at once. Hold on. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing everybody. Okay. I will ask you to just unmute, be as kind as you can so that we don't quite step on top of each other. But I can see some of you and I can call on some of you to at least begin the discussion. I've got a couple that I'm more than happy to share with you. And if you want me to stop sharing my screen because you want to share, we can do that. So is there anybody who'd like to start? And please just speak up.
I'll start, Marcia.
Okay, Julie, go
from
for it.
Trevlin. Can you allow me to share my screen?
I certainly can.
If I can be that fancy, we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
that's all right. We're all friends here, so. Oh, now I can see everybody when I don't share my screen.
Let's see. Okay. I think that's the one I want. So I don't know if anybody is familiar. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
If anybody is familiar with this little passage is like a 2-pager in the GED program educator handbook, but it's what I like to share with my students who sometimes struggle with the reading and language arts essay response. And it's just kind of a real good summary, and it kind of shares how that whole essay response is framed, and then, you know, how they can get through that and hopefully succeed in getting a few points. But what I first start out telling students is that, you know, the reading and language arts is divided into 2 sections. It's got the multiple choice, and then it's got that 45-minute essay. And so I really kind of try to counsel them on how to divide up their time so that they can have enough time, 15, 20 minutes, to read the actual content, and then another 15 or 20 minutes to kind of develop a response, and then another little bit of time to review and revise. So to kind of make sure that they budget their time correctly for that 45 minutes. I also tell them that even though there's 2 sections and 2 halves to that reading and language response, the essay is actually only worth about 5 points. So if they do really, really good on the multiple choice, that as long as they write something and it's kind of coherent, that they'll be okay with the essay part, even if they don't feel real confident there.
That's a great point.
I share with them this this handout, which kind of gives them a little sample thesis frame. And I tell them, you know, it's always going to be the same. It's always going to be reading about 2 different sides to an issue. And so your argument is going to basically kind of be the same. You want to talk about the general issue, then you want to talk about the 2 sides. You don't have to pick a side yourself. You just have to kind of prove that one side is a little bit more effective at pointing out their issue or their position than the other side. So this little framework with the little blanks, I kind of just go through it with them and say, you know, you're going to be comparing those 2 positions in the article, and you're going to say, well, one provides a better evidence, and then you're going to list a few things, and then just kind of give a good, try to conclude, if you can, with just, here's the issue. There's controversy, but this guy has the better opinion, or, asserts his opinion better. So
that's wonderful.
It's never, it's
I have never paid attention to these pages. Shame on me.
Well, yeah, and I've had it for several years, and I do bring it out quite a bit when students get a little nervous about the written portion. I just try to ease their frustrations and their fears a little bit, and then kind of give them something to at least read through and know that, okay, it's not as bad as you're making it out to be.
Good point.
So yeah, I did share that by email with Beth and Marcia so that you can add it to the follow-up email.
Will do. Oh, thank you.
That's what I got.
Great. I left teaching not long after the whole extended response thing changed. So this still feels really new to me. I don't know that other people feel that way, but this is a really great resource. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who else? Great. Who else has something? Okay, well, I can share. Let's see if I can find it here. That's not it. Oh, maybe I lost it. Oh my goodness. Okay, take me a second just to find it. Oh wait, I bet it's here. There it is. Okay, let me share my screen again. This is something that I've used any number of times in GED programs. And it's the WorkWise series from New Readers Press. And they have, gotta move you all over so I can see what I'm talking about here. There. They have each one that's focused on math, on reading, on writing, on starting a job, on getting a job, on keeping a job, and kind of ways to choose. And it comes in different configurations. But I especially used the reading one and also the writing one. I found those two to be exceptionally helpful for students who needed work in those two areas. And because they were work related, the students seemed to really enjoy them, found them, much more useful than, the sort of traditional little stories that they were getting in so much of the other reading and or writing areas. They're not expensive. They come 10 to a pack. And I was at programs where the students couldn't have the workbooks. They had to write their answers on a separate sheet of paper because we used them for multiple classes. And then I was at programs that had a little bit of money and were able to provide the workbooks directly to the students where they could do the actual work in the books, which is always nicer. And I think the students have just a better sense of self and of, they maybe pay a little more attention when it's something that's theirs. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Again, it's something that if not now, in the new fiscal year, your regional consultant may be able to help you in purchasing. But I really like these. Anybody else use these? I can't see hands, so if you do, just unmute and holler.
Yeah, Pamela mentions at Jefferson County that they use them. I
good.
recently, or maybe last year, I forget when the soft skills ones came out, but I got those for folks for my regional meeting. And I thought they looked good. I think if I can't see on your screen, Marcia, but I think there is the soft skill. There's like the bundles. If you scroll down,
Yeah, they're down here.
yeah. So they are
Yeah,
just
the academic or the soft skills. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. All right. Well, and Beth just mentioned, and I should bring it to your attention. Maybe this is our moment for a commercial. You will be invited to regional meetings coming up in May and June. And so watch for those in your area. I think we've all planned ours. We've all got dates. So if you haven't seen us save the date, I'm sure it's coming. And it's a great chance to get together with other folks who do what you do. Okay, who else wants to add to this? Anybody else have materials that they love? I'm going to stop sharing my screen because then I can see you all better. Anybody else have materials that they love or that their students especially love?
I could share technically, is it materials also tools that I can use in class?
Sure.
Well, I do, as I mentioned, the GED in Spanish, and finding resources sometimes is challenging to find things in Spanish. Since we started the pandemic, I've been collecting some tools, some worksheets and handouts to use it for class. And the challenge was how to interact with the students and getting the handouts. At the beginning, we were just kind of emailing and sharing that during the pandemic, but then I found a tool is called Kami that I can mention that substitutes the use of paper and pencil, and it works great with, especially works great with Google Classroom, which is what I do, what I use. I can share my screen so you can see.
Sure, please
how
do.
it works. So using here my main page for Google Classroom. And as I'm going in, I have here all the resources that we need for class, but I want to show you some of that interaction that works with this program called Kami. Let's see, I have some activities in. I have just have so much right now. Looking for the activities in class. All right, so maybe I can use an example of the math. Just to kind of point it out.
Sure.
So I have maybe I can just. I have some of the old books that I still like to use. So I copy them, make a PDF out of the assessments or whatever I'm using.
Oh,
good
idea.
In order to substitute that, instead of having a copy of that, I use this program called Kami, and I'm not sure anybody else has used it, but it's technically syncs everything that the students are doing through the computer, and I can revise and edit and also deliver lessons through this program.
Really? I am not familiar with this.
So it has some of the tools, the basic tools here on the left. It has a cost. It's really accessible. It's about $100 per year, and it provides. I can host like 100 students. It's like $1 per student.
Mm-hmm.
But they will have to use their Gmail account to log into Google Classroom and also into signing into this program. And whatever the students, I send the assignment as Google Classroom, and each will have a copy of the assignment. The students will answer the questions using the tools, and I can technically substituting completely paper and pencil. So you see here like how also the view for the grading, or scoring the homework. What is great about this is, besides just making annotations, I can also leave comments. I can leave text comments, video comments, or voice comments.
Oh, wow.
Also has a feature to record what I'm doing on my screen. So if there's something that I want to explain to the student on how to do an operation, like a math operation or something, I can show that it will stay safe. That video will stay safe in the homework. So it has a lot of other tools that I use a little bit. Some of these are like graphic organizers too. It's all incorporated within this program, and I can. Again, it's great for not only substituting the paper and pencil, but also to deliver lessons.
This is amazing. How did you find this? Did you just happen to stumble on it or hear about it at a meeting?
I researched it. I looked for it. I think Johnny House had like at the beginning of the pandemic, we had this push of like going paperless, and to look for some of these tools to something that we can use to annotate PDFs. And then I started to find this that is started to become it's also used in public education. So I started to play with it, and I really liked it because everything the students are writing or annotating, I can see it immediately, and I can work directly with the students on this. And it's just, again, a great way to substitute the handouts and the paperwork that we're used to have in the class.
This is really amazing. Kami, I really like it.
Yeah, it's very easy, simple to use, and again, also the students are getting to start writing. They're also typing instead of writing, and it's part of the challenge, but it's also getting to just moving into how to use the computer for most of the things that they have to use for class.
Yeah, I love that it encourages digital skills. That's really nice. Wonderful. Thank you, Juan. This is a new one on me. So great. Jamie, I would think that would be right up your alley. Jamie, are you familiar with Cami?
I am. I actually used it when I taught high school.
You
I used
do?
it with
Okay.
my students annotated text with it. I
Nice.
agree. There's a startup time to it. Like I had to teach students how to use it, but after that, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Nice. Good. Good. Okay. Anybody else have materials they want to share or talk about? Okay. Otherwise, we'll just move on and open it to any questions that you all came with, or questions you have, things you want to share that you're doing, any help that you're looking for if you're kind of new to this, or if you've been around a while and have tips and tricks. We always want to know those. So anybody else? Please just jump right in.
I am sure I will be needing a lot of help. So
Hey, Carlene.
I just don't know what in yet.
Sure, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
So what have you done to date?
Well,
And this is
I'm
Green Bay for those of you who missed the introduction.
yes, yeah, Literacy Green Bay. I'm teaching the CCR1, so I've developed the curriculum and for that. And I just started Kelly, who was the previous CFL, the family program manager, left last summer, almost a year ago. And unfortunately, they decided not to fill her position. So, the person who made the decision, of course, didn't know what
Doesn't
she
do the
did,
work. Yeah,
didn't know
we
what she
understand.
did. And I kept saying, who's doing this? You need to do this. And so then I learned that it wasn't getting done. So I was like, this needs to get done. This needs to get done. So
Oh,
then
bless your
all of
heart.
a sudden he was like, oh, can you help with this? And I'd be like, well, she got paid for it. So if I'm going to do it, I'll get paid for it. So slowly it was like, oh, Carlene, would you do a couple hours a week doing this? And so slowly I've been adding in and adding on. And so I was asked if I could kind of take on this role.
Mhm.
So I know like intake and, doing the tape testing and starting with new students and getting them entered into our system and that aspect for our CCR1. And also we also have a CFFL instructor here from NWTC who teaches the class.
Okay.
So working with her and what she needs when she's got a student. So working hand in hand with her.
Great.
So it's now just figuring out, okay, what else can be done for kind of growing the program, for reaching out, that sort of thing. And just getting my feet wet,
Sure.
you know.
Sure. Well, and one thing comes to mind. Beth and I have joined forces to offer a gathering on May 8th in Waukesha for any ABE program that wants to meet with other ABE programs to talk. And this could certainly be a topic. Would you agree, Beth? You're muted.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really a time just for anybody to get together and talk about what's important or what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be true for all of you. If any of you would like to be included in that program or in that gathering, and it's going to be kind of a short day, like 11 to 2 or 3, and we're going to have lunch, but it's really just a chance for you to talk to each other. You know, we always promise at our regional meetings, there's going to be time to network, but somehow it's never enough. So this is that opportunity. So if
You'll just meet, maybe meet new people that you can continue
Right.
reaching out to beyond the networking.
exactly,
Okay.
that's the whole point.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that you get the information about that. And again, any of you are invited, just either reach out to me or Beth, and we'll make sure you get added to the list. Because it focuses on larger programs, but I think most of you are from fairly, reasonable sized programs. We don't want you to feel like, a little tiny mouse in a room full of elephants. And those elephants usually come with a lot of money. So, we know that can sometimes be a problem. But if you're doing GED work, this would be a great chance to talk with other folks.
Okay, great.
Good. And you can always reach out to any one of us that is currently working in on GED stuff, and we'll be happy to answer your questions or give you ideas. But you said something that that sparked something in my mind. The regional consultants were sharing what members were doing in terms of record keeping. There was a question about how long do we keep records. And one of the things that's really important when you're doing GED and HSED work, particularly when you have students that have taken tests or maybe have completed tests, those are records that you must keep. I believe it's 7 years and it may be longer. I have a message out to the folks at DPI and actually to our new director, Jake, because he was very involved in that too. But keep in mind, those records are critically important when it has to do with GED success and completion. You can't just like pretend that the student, once the student is gone, they're gone. They're not. You need to hang on to that information, particularly the tests that they took, the scores that they got, and how the credential was conferred. So keep that in mind. And maybe at our next meeting, we can get somebody on, either Jake or someone from DPI to kind of clarify that if that's of interest or in importance to any of you. So what else? Who else has questions? Who else has some successes they want to share?
I think I have some scoop. I don't know.
Oh, good. Go, Julie.
Has anybody been made aware of the new database online with the Department of Public Instruction where you can look up students' credentials? I can drop I'm gonna drop the thing in the chat.
In the chat, please. Yeah, that would be great. I saw Elizabeth shaking her head. She was aware of it. I know that it's there. I've never used it. Is it easy to access?
Yeah, I've used it a couple times, and I was just informed by North Central Technical College that I guess they're about halfway through the uploading process for the data. So if you do a search and the student's information isn't in there, then it's just because they just haven't loaded it yet. So like they've got some of the recent ones loaded, and then I don't know if they're starting from the first half of their pile for the ones that were credentialed in the past. So
okay, and are these only credentialed students, or are these students who attended any school and you can see what classes they completed?
If it's actually just like a name, their date of birth, the time, the date that they got credentialed, I think, and then like what they have, it's a HSED or a GED. So if their credential was registered with the Department of Public Instruction, then they should be able to find them there. At least like for employers and schools to just verify that the student has what they say they have.
Okay, that's where I thought you were going with this. They had been talking about doing this for quite a while, so I'm glad to know that it's in the works.
And I guess it'll work really good, but there's also an option to like opt out. So until students start to opt out,
Why would
the list will probably be pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Well, as long as they don't sell it to the telemarketers, we're
Right.
good. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay,
That's
good. Well,
that's my
thank you.
scoop.
Good to know. Well, and I'm sure many of you get the question that I used to get all the time. I taught in an HSED program and a 509 program, and students would say to me, "Well, what do I tell employers I have once they've finished?" And I'll say you tell them you have an HSED from the state of Wisconsin, and of course outside of Wisconsin, people don't know what that is. And so if you're in Arizona and your potential employer says to you, well, what is that? I used to tell my students, you can say it's like a GED, but it's harder to get. And that's true. I mean, you jump through a whole more hoops when you get an HSED or a 509 in many programs anyway. So yeah, so that's the other thing that occasionally gets brought up. Who else has dirt to share or successes or questions that for the group? We're gonna do a real hard stop right before 1 o'clock. So
Can I
um,
ask a question
sure.
about the record keeping part? So
Yeah.
we have a lot of students or individuals who come interested, and so we test them and we just do the level 1. And if they score higher than a 501, the NRS, they go to NRS 3, they go to NWTC. And do we put them in our LACES, our database, or do we just keep a paper file on them? And
Interesting.
yeah,
Because they've never really been a student. You've only tested
correct,
them. They maybe
correct,
hadn't been a literacy student up until then.
correct.
What do others think? Yeah, I'm curious. What do others think? I mean, you can't count them for anything other than testing.
Right.
So I don't think there would be any issues, but I'm not an expert on that sort of thing. I
But
guess it depends if you need the numbers, if somehow in the way you count encounters, you want to have, we tested this many people, because it does take time and talent to do that. It might be a separate category that you'd want to keep track of.
well, the other point too is if all of a sudden they're like, oh, I tested at Literacy Green Bay, and they're like, need to find the test results, and somebody goes directly to LACES to look it up, and they're not showing up in LACES to
Right.
find the test result, and instead of going to DRC, or that's my other thought is, does that make a difference? I don't know.
How
I don't
often
know.
would someone go into your laces to look for that? I mean, I
That'd
think
be that'd be their
it's
first go-to. That'd be their first
okay.
go-to.
Yeah.
They'd say, "Oh, you were here to test." Look them up. And right now we have, I don't know, we've had 5 so far this year that tested. I mean, probably 80% are testing. Oh, even more than that are testing and going straight to NWTC. So it's quite a bit.
It's a lot.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And so I'm keeping a paper file, and it's like, all right, well, if nobody thinks of coming to the office and looking in the paper file, if it's somebody else in the ELL office who gets the phone call, you know,
Sure.
I'm just thinking, you know, I don't know. It's just been, we've been kind of talking about it. Should we, shouldn't we? Is it a waste of time? Do we need
Yeah.
to? How would we, you know, what would we code it, or, you know, how would we document that in LACES?
It's almost like it would need to be a new category,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
just testing
categorize
or
it.
only
Yeah,
testing or
yeah,
whatever. But
right.
you should get credit, if, you know, if that's the term we want to use, for having done that.
Yeah, because right now I'm just
Because
keeping it on a spreadsheet.
right, right. Well, and I don't know if it happens in your program, but I was talking with Racine Literacy just the other day, and very often they'll have students go to the technical college to start working on that, but then come back to the literacy program for just a little support or
Mhm.
help with homework, or, guidance to get them through the work that they're doing at the tech college. And so it would be nice to connect that testing you did with a student who went away but then came back. I think you should do whatever you can to continue to count them in your count. And again, maybe you need a category that is testing, but and I'll be real honest. We send way more students to the technical college than the technical college sends to any of
Yeah,
us.
yep,
Right? I
absolutely,
mean, I think you're all in that position. And
absolutely.
so I think any chance we get to kind of take control of those numbers a little bit is to our advantage.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that situation and I kind of share what we do.
Please.
We still would enter that person into our database and record that score, and we would enter them as a GED, HSED in that category. And then we
Mhm.
use the hours. So that they would just be given whatever hours it took to administer the test. And then that's our kick point. So if the person does go to the technical college and comes back, there's still a GED student in our database, and we would just continue adding attendance reports to that, and then their hours would grow.
Excellent. Yep. Yep. Because the tech college figures, at least when I was involved, 12 hours is what you usually put into getting a student, having them fill out the paperwork, doing the testing, doing the referral. So shoot, you may as well. Yeah, thank you, Pamela. That's good. Anybody else? Ideas or thoughts on that? Okay, other questions? Other joys or concerns, as they say?
I got a question for the group. Does anybody help students with working on their CDL endorsement for their driver's
Racine
license?
Literacy Council does.
Okay.
And Latino
Yeah.
Academy in Madison does too.
Exactly. Yep.
I've
Yeah, Racine
just-
only does assisting with the test, the paper test, the
Mhm.
word test, but Madison actually has the on the
They
road
have
test
two
too.
semis.
Yeah, they own
I was
semi. Is
just
that cool?
Yeah.
one of my GED students got her credential and decided to start working on her CDL right away. And so she's kind of still with me, even though she's beyond her GED, but I'm supporting her through that process. And I was just wondering, yeah, if there was any number of people who were working with students that were trying to get their CDL, but she's doing real good.
Good, good. Yeah, the Madison program is phenomenal. They got to be one of not very many in the whole country, right, Beth?
Yeah, they're like identified as a transportation school now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've
Oh,
heard some workforce development boards have been it's called
She might be working with that because the program is whatever program she belongs to is paying for her to take that first theory class.
Oh, wow.
With
Okay.
Fox Valley Tech, and then I guess there's like incentive once she passes that they'll, continue on with her. So
Yeah. Yeah, there in I know some of the workforce development boards in Madison are working with this agency. I forget the name of it. I know I've sent it out in the past. And Julie, if you were on one of the corrections calls, you might know. In your eyes training or something like that. Pamela, I don't know if you remember. And it's virtual training. It's hands-on virtual simulation. And so it's like for people they can do CDL, they can use virtual like MetaQuest 2 type thing to learn how to use dangerous equipment, things like that. So I know that there are some workforce development boards using that. Also, obviously you still have to take a road test. So virtual would only get you so far, but that was interesting.
That's great. Good. That's exciting to hear.
And I popped in some resources that one of our programs up in the Northwest uses when they are working with CDL.
Oh, Shannon, thank you.
License. Yep.
Thanks, Shannon. Did y'all know that BadgerLink also has CDL practice on their website?
Do they really? They have everything.
Yep. Yeah, so I pointed her to that resource right away, and she's been using that BadgerLink CDL practice.
Keep that way at the front of your mind because BadgerLink has a ton of stuff. Good. All right. What else? We got 4 or 5 minutes left. Nothing else? Otherwise, you're going to gain 5 minutes of your day. Well, this was a wonderful discussion. Thank you. Thanks for the resources. I'll hopefully be able to save the chat. We have been recording, so I'll share the recording with you as well. And you'll get a letter in the next, or an email in the next day or so, with a link to please go in and do the little survey. It doesn't take more than a few minutes, but we always love to hear your ideas. We can meet again in a few months if you would like. Is there anything that you would like us to focus on at our next meeting? And if not, it'll be, kind of what we've done today. If you don't have an idea right off the top of your head, just drop me an email and I'll add it to the agenda for next time. But thank you for sharing your day with me and with all of us. And I'm always here. All the regional consultants are always here with answers to your questions, or at least direction where it needs to go. So any last minute words? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in just a few months. Take care.
Good to see everybody. Take care.
Thank you for all your help.
Yep, thank you.